Welcome back to JB Reviews. I have the 2025 Ford F350 and 2025 Chevy Silverado 3500. Today we're going to do an MPG run acceleration test to see which truck performs the best. Is it Ford or is it Chevy? I got to give a special shout out to Ken Gar Ford here in West Valley, Utah. Be sure to ask for Ken and Jerry Seiner Chevrolet in Salt Lake City. Both of these trucks are available for sale. Let's go ahead and drive the Chevy first. One thing Chevy got right with this truck is the cab size. This is the perfect size for cab. For the next 15-20 years, I think this will still be the perfect size, especially up front. The biggest thing I like about this truck in particular is the amount of space you have here. See, I have long legs. Now, I don't have the seat all the way back. If I did, I almost feel like I'm too far away. GM doesn't give you power pedals or adjustable pedals, so I always find myself having to push my seat up, and even my truck, a little bit more than I would maybe like a Ram. My Ram seating position is all the way back down to the floor because it's a small cab. The steering in this truck, because it has the independent front suspension, it does feel loose. That's something that I've noticed. Every Chevy GMC is a little different, every one of them, and I think it's because of this independent front suspension. Now, that's not a bad thing, but you know, for me personally, I do like a little bit stiffer steering, and I would like for them to maybe give you adjustments for this to make it stiffer if that's possible. But this being a dually, you can probably tell my voice is, you know, jumping. Even though this is the best ride in pickup, it's still a dually. So for some people, this might still be too stiff. This truck does ride on 18-inch wheels. I believe it's a 235/80 18 and Michelin tires. You don't hear any noise from the tires. This is a great ride in pickup. I don't mind a stiffer ride personally, but for some people, this might be too stiff. But once you put a load behind this truck, that's where it really does come to life. Now, as far as the interior layout goes, they do have just one exhaust level here. The Ford does have a dual stage. I do like the larger screens on this truck too. This is class leading 13.4. They do have this camera view for this. Ford doesn't have this. But overall, we are on a smoother road here, and the ride is perfect. Let's go ahead and drive that Ford. Man, it is a toss-up. This Ford truck rides real good too. See, that's what's so shocking to me. This having the solid front axle. Jeez. Now, it could be potentially this having the 17-inch wheels. Maybe that little bit larger wheel does impact the ride, but this is a 245/75 17-inch wheel. So it's possible that the wheels, but I don't think so. Ford trucks ride good, 100%. I know some people will say that GM trucks ride the absolute best. This is very, very similar to that GM, and I'm so glad I had a chance to drive these back to back. This is my first time driving dually trucks back to back, and I am actually shocked. Now, I'm going to pick on GM just a little bit here. These seats are comfortable. See, I like a stiffer seat that I have in my GMC, for example. Same ones that are in that Chevy. But driving this truck, I think some of the comfort I'm feeling too is the fact that the seats are just a little bit softer. So that might be something GM might have to fix in the near future, for sure. But, you know, the steering wheel is nice and straight. I mean, either truck, I don't feel as though you will notice a big difference in where the steering wheel feel is. This is a little bit stiffer, but it does feel loose. I mean, if I were to add, well, actually, this doesn't have sport mode, but I'm going to put it in eco mode anyway, since it has it. But yeah, I feel as though this truck rides about the same as the Chevy. The Ram trucks are the stiffest though, 100%. Now, they both have overloads out back for the suspension, but the tires are essentially the same, Michelin tires. Yeah, this feels very comfortable for a solid front axle, HD, Super Duty, whatever you want to call it. Here are the RPMs. We're right at 1500 RPMs. at about 70 miles an hour. That's not too bad actually. Truck has a 342 rear end. Now if I were to get up to 75, this is a nice speed on the highway for most people, right? You're probably about 1650 right now. And that's why I think the GM trucks do get better fuel economy overall compared to like the Ram trucks. Now, from my experience, Ford trucks do get better fuel economy. So let's see how the dualies do, because I don't think I've ever done a dually comparison for MPG and acceleration. So this truck having the 12-inch ring gear, that should help this truck off the line a little bit better. And it's only 37 degrees outside, so yeah, that should help us kind of gauge best possible fuel efficiency. Now again, I am about 4,500 feet or so above elevation, so that will affect performance. I can't stand when people say like I can get 2 seconds better where I live at. I'm way above sea level, so that's going to affect performance even on these turbocharged diesels. Now this truck having the 355 rear, it is a little bit lower gear, right? A little bit lower. So you can tell at 70 miles an hour, we're definitely up there. But let's go ahead and get up to 75, just real quickly. You see how it doesn't utilize 9th gear to do so? I love that about the Fords. So we're at, man, we're like about 1800 RPMs right there. So you do have a little bit higher RPM. I love the fact that they show you what gear you're in on the truck. You can probably see it right down there. That's something that GM doesn't give you. And I'm hoping next year or the year after, they give that to us. I mean, now we'll say you don't have that 4K camera for this that you get in that Chevy. So that is a better selling point. And I do like that too, especially like at night. I like it. Here are the numbers on the door for the Chevy. 5,207 pounds of payload, and you guys see the towing numbers too. For the Ford, here are the axle ratings and payload, 5,422 pounds. One thing about this Chevy, it does have lane keep assist. It's only an alert, so if you start to hit that line, it'll vibrate the seat. It does have adaptive cruise control, and I mean, I think that this is enough for a truck. Some other trucks like that Ford, which you'll see here in a second, it does steer the steering wheel back once you get too close to the line. I do like that better because it's just better peace of mind, especially on these longer trips. And I believe it does have the lane centering too. But I do like the camera system better on the GM trucks for sure. You can pretty much see multiple views, and it's easy to use too as you're going down the road too. So if you need to check on your cargo in the bed, they give that to you. We should be to the midpoint here in a second, and then I'll show you guys where we are for the fuel economy. As far as cab size goes, I have more room in the Chevy for sure, but this is not far behind. We're talking inches here and there, but this has a bigger steering wheel. The layout in this truck is nice. Exhaust brakes right up here, dual stage, and yeah, I think overall this truck just feels so much more like at home. I think for most people, in my opinion, I think a lot of people are going to notice that. And when you do take your foot off the gas, that exhaust brake, you can feel your head go forward a little bit too, so I love that as well. One last thing to note, this does have lane centering, and if you were to like kind of turn towards the line, it'll actually turn you back in. That's something that I love that Ford has, a great feature that GM probably needs to incorporate with the redesign for sure. Here's the midpoint. Transmission's giving me a little bit of downshifts too right now. I only have the exhaust brake on right now. With GM trucks, you don't really feel it. It is working. Now that I've had my GM for a while, I noticed that it is there. but it's not great. Brake feel is solid. It's not spongy. It's not too touchy. Here's where we are for MPG. Let's check out what it is for the Ford. We're definitely a little bit further behind with the Ford. 11.3, 9.2 miles driven so far at the midpoint. And I'm a little shocked by that, but you know, the test is not done yet, although we do have to do that 0 to 60 on the way back, and that's going to really hurt. This is the heads-up display for the Chevy. I would like for them to add like the time, the temperature in there. That's something I'd like to see up top there, because that way I don't have to, you know, look down over here to see that. You can just kind of keep your eyes forward. Now they do give you your off-road pages in there that shows the speed limit of this road. But apart from that, I just feel like there's just a few things missing that I would like to see on this truck. Ford does show you the lines for your lane keep assist. So when you get close, it'll steer you back in and it goes orange. Shows you the time and the temperature, and just like the GM, it does show you the speed limit too. This Gen 2 L5P does have 470 horsepower, 975 pound-feet of torque. All that power goes to a 10-speed stamp-approved Allison 342 rear end. Let's see how it performs. Here we go.
30, 60.
This high output power stroke has 500 horsepower, 1200 pound-feet of torque, and it really is king of the hill. All that power goes to a 10-speed transmission. Let's see how it accelerates. Here we go.
30, 60.
We just pulled back in, and I can't stop here, so let me just pull over to the side. Oh, it just shows that there was a person walking in front of the truck. I don't think I've ever noticed that before. It's pretty cool. And we'll just stop next to this black Escalade. Hopefully it doesn't move. But yeah, we're at 16.1, almost 20 miles driven. Let's check out the Ford. We just pulled back in, and I don't even want to show this to you guys because this is pretty bad. Now, I'll have to show it to you guys here too. I thought maybe, just maybe, this truck was maybe in a regen. So 11 MPG, 19.1 miles driven. So that was the exact same route, exact same turns. Now, I thought maybe this truck was just in a regen and that's why it did so bad, but that is not the case. So if you go to gauges, go to diesel measurements, exhaust filter is 0. So I don't know why it did so bad. Interesting. I did turn off the exhaust brake on the Ford because I thought maybe that's affecting the trip computer, but it wasn't in tow all mode. So I'm not sure why this truck got so much worse fuel economy. It's not in regen, as you saw, so I'm not sure why that is. But hey, Chevy shocked me on the 0 to 60 compared to the Ford. I thought it would be a little bit closer, but for this truck, the shifts were a little delayed. Like every time it went to shift, it felt like an Eisen transmission for a little bit. So there's that. I'll have to do this test over again because I know the Ford guys are gonna come after me. They're gonna say, you're just biased. I did everything the same. That's why I show you the mileage. That way you guys know it's the exact same route. But yeah, I am shocked by the performance for the Ford. Now this truck having the 355, maybe that 410 could make a difference for this truck for fuel economy and for performance. It's very possible. That's why the 430 and that F450 is like almost king, because it just seems to just do well. But I hope you guys liked the video. It's been a while since I've done this MPG acceleration test on my channel. These videos are a lot harder to do, so I don't do them as much because it just takes so much time out of my day. And luckily I didn't have to put the cameras on the outside because the trucks were too dirty and I couldn't get the suction cups to stick, so I just put them on the inside, which made it a lot easier. But yes, If you like this content, be sure to support it. Let me know your thoughts down below. See you guys soon.